I'm saying like this guy's a magician. Everybody loves magicians. Like he can't. He could have never defeated me any other way. But he has to be a magician. All right, Torture Talk After Hours. You know what it is. So continuing the coverage of Drake's diss. Yeah, so make sure you like, share, subscribe to the page. Let's get into this.
Now, Drake has just dissed Kendrick Lamar within a way that we have not seen from him in quite some time, as to kick off this new year in hip-hop, instead of ranting on streams or whining on social media, Drake has actually gotten back in the booth and has released a new song where instead of switching genres or languages in an attempt to try and just run away from everything that Kendrick Lamar did to him and represented, now Drake is once again trying to take him head on with nothing more than his bars and a beat from Conductor Williams. And now, as this marks just in a few days the second full-on record that is dissing Kendrick Lamar to come out this year, and this is from none other than Drake, what is clear is that the rap game is running around and trying to find a way to take down the undisputed champion of everything, and really with Drake here, what it seems like he's trying to specifically do is, after seeing how every single way he tried to make a comeback just failed miserably, whether that was releasing more music, switching genres, or trying to be a full-on streamer. Now Drake is trying to get back in the rap game by poking Kendrick enough to the point where it gives him the attention that he would otherwise never get at this point, but now...
Yeah, he definitely trying to get Kendrick's attention. I will say that. But that just goes to show you that Drake is still a child in this whole thing. And I think that he's looking at Kendrick as the challenge that he can't never overcome. And this is going to be something that Drake does for a long time because he's never been defeated in this way. He's been put in a position where I don't think he's ever thought he could ever be in. I don't think he ever thought he could ever be in this position. And this is the reason why he's where he's at. Because mentally, he's in a position where Kendrick Lamar got him basically bowing down right now. Like, let's be clear. Kendrick got him bowing down right now.
Before we dive into every single diss Drake throughout at Kendrick here and why he is saying all of these things at this very moment, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And so now with this new track from Drake, which is seemingly titled Fighting Irish, right in line with everything else he has done ever since he lost to Kendrick Lamar within a fashion like we have never seen before. This song is very emotional, and Drake is showing that his feelings did really get hurt bad in this beef, but instead of acting like a total clown, Drake is at least putting this sadness and bitter feeling of loss back into the bars directly, which hey, after somehow managing to make every single wrong choice for almost an entire calendar year, this is somewhat of a step in the right direction. And now with Drake actually presenting himself within a way that somebody who calls themselves an MC always should, for better or for worse, he does say a lot here and seemingly does two main things.
Yeah, he definitely does say a lot in this record. Mostly directed at LeBron. But I will say, somebody pointed out that the one bar, he was talking about J. Cole when he was saying, people crying the blues for you. You know what I'm saying? Basically saying like, he was talking about J. Cole, and I think he was talking about J. Cole doing a song with Daylight. So it's a lot of things that I missed in that joint, that I should have took my time with, but I'll break it down again. Maybe do it on this channel.
Which the first one is to try and justify the crash out he has been on and why he's been acting like the biggest fool in music right now, but then also, and in the greater sense, he is trying to get back in some sort of musical conflict with Kendrick Lamar, because for the first time since Family Matters, Drake is actually flipping Kendrick's bars from his diss tracks to try and dispute them, and instead of just denying everything in the strangest way possible like he did on The Hard Part 6, Drake is somewhat on the offensive here, despite how weird it is that he is doing this all of these months later. And so now after Drake starts this track off by admitting that during this legendary summer that was going on in hip-hop, He just completely missed it, which I guess is his way of saying that he never delivered those summer vibes that he promised after the beef, which I mean, I guess some self-awareness is better than nothing. From here, Drake immediately gets back into his delusional bag as he tries to call out Kendrick and find ways to discredit and diminish his win, as after framing himself as the victim of the entire music industry, he tries to discredit everything with bars like "the world fell in love with the gimmicks, even my brothers got tickets." Which now the first part of this bar...
We already know what that bar means. When he said his brothers got tickets, now I know. He was talking about LeBron James and everybody that was at the pop out. You know what I'm saying? That he thought was his brothers. Let's keep going.
Of course, trying to say that everything Kendrick did against him was a gimmick, and that's just trying to underplay what all of it meant and represented in the greater sense of hip-hop and the music industry as a whole. Which I don't even have to go into how pathetic and wrong of a statement that is, and really for Drake to even use this angle is still showing that he is trying to rewrite and revise history in his own delusional way instead of moving forward. But what's actually showing us something new here is in the second part of this bar, where Drake is referring to all of the people who turned sides on him, and specifically, people who he once considered friends who he thought would never leave his side, which includes names like LeBron James, DeMar DeRozan, and James Harden, who all seemingly chose Team Kendrick by going to one of the greatest shows of all time, which of course happened right after Drake took his L with the pop-out. And now with Drake actually being a little introspective here and reflecting on how he felt within a way that's actually human, this part is not bad in isolation. But of course, when you remember that he has already shown how he's felt about guys like LeBron James and DeMar DeRozan turning on him, as he has already done things like unfollowing guys like LeBron, and in the case of DeMar DeRozan, he crashed out at him in person when he went to the Raptors game, which was just so embarrassing.
Yeah, sure enough was embarrassing. I don't know why he did that. I think about that. Why did he diss DeMar DeRozan? Like, what's the point of that? I mean, I understand that. Well, a lot of people are saying, I know a lot of people are saying that DeMar DeRozan and Drake used to be real close, and he helped him out through some times when Drake helped him out when he was going through something. But I don't know, man. I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if I believe that Drake played somebody's therapist. Like, I think he needs a therapist. But you know what they say, sometimes therapists need therapists.
Together, when you see the real-life way that Drake handled these things, it really does take away from the moment and just makes Drake seem more pathetic than ever when you know the reality of how he reacted as opposed to how it's portrayed in the lyrics. And now beyond these lines, where things in this track really pick up and get a lot more intense, especially in terms of Drake just sending a clear signal for Kendrick Lamar to come back down and diss him again, is in the second verse, as Drake here really codes this entire performance to not just be written with language and subtle cues that are flipping terms that are associated with Kendrick Lamar and his side of the hip-hop world as a whole. But what's most important here, and if this track makes any sort of impact or causes any sort of reaction, it will be because of this, is the section in this verse where he says, "Who's got the most to lose and who's in that other position? See no conversations, boy, I hope they got double encryption. I hate to see the empire crumble on judges' convictions. This pulled a rabbit out the hat and y'all love a magician." Drake is addressing a lot of things as he sets this moment up with the first bar, which is undermining Kendrick Lamar and making him look like this bigger and more important figure than he will ever be. Which again, when we look at Drake's performance here, this is another one of its failures because I don't know why he is going about this same strategy again. Because his ability to not see Kendrick as an equal is one of the most vital factors to why he never even stood a chance in this beef, because his own failure in judgment made him underestimate one of the greatest and most competitive rappers of all time. But now after saying this...
That's what I said in my other video. He doesn't look at Kendrick as competition. He looks at Kendrick as somebody's beneath him, because he don't look at, like, when he said that whole magician bar, I really felt like he felt as though that Kendrick is just like, he's just like some guy that is just on a lower level than him. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying like this guy's a magician. Everybody loves magicians. like he could have never defeated me any other way, but it had to be that he's playing tricks or something like that. It's crazy.
no matter how delusional it may be. He sends out another warning to Kendrick and his camp about how he hopes that they have been covering their tracks for everything they have been doing to seemingly manipulate the entire music industry and hip-hop world against him, which again, this is just a diss that is derived from Drake's straight delusions, and very similar to the Heart Part 6 where Drake just lied to try and sound tough and act like he knew more than he did. This just seems like another rendition of that horrible tactic, but the stakes do get even higher from here, as then Drake says, "I hate to see the empire crumble on Judge's convictions," which is the first time we are hearing him address his lawsuit on a track. And now the message that he's trying to send with this line is showing that he both hopes he can win this thing to save his career, but then he is also mocking Kendrick with this bar simultaneously by saying that he hopes the truth doesn't come out because that will ruin all of the success that Kendrick has had in this moment, even though with all the evidence presented and with the fact that we all lived through this moment and just saw the people get inspired by something Kendrick did like nothing else in hip-hop has in years, no one believes anything Drake is trying to claim about Kendrick and the success of Not Like Us as a whole. But now adding even more lyrics aimed in response to Kendrick in this track, Drake officially answers back to some of the biggest disses Kendrick threw out against him on the song that changed everything in Meet the Grams, as he tries to explain that he doesn't have a drinking problem, but then kind of admits he does have the problem, but then ultimately justifies it by saying it's subtle. And then trying to cope even more with all of this and wherever he's trying to go from here, he then says, "I got my father's habits and my mother's permission." And then again making this...
Yeah, that was nuts. He basically said, like, listen, I drink. I don't got a drinking problem. It's subtle, but I got that from my dad. Shit crazy.
Entire section and response to Kendrick even more confusing. He builds on this saying, "My dad got another child. I told him that wasn't my sister." And here, Drake is directly flipping Kendrick's lines about him having some serious issues, but with the way he goes about it, I don't really think this is the flex he thinks it is, and with the last bar here especially. He is seemingly expanding on Kendrick's claims about him having a daughter by then saying his dad had another child, which then I guess is trying to deflect that bar just away from him and on his father, or at least that's really the only way this bar makes some sort of sense in the context it's written in. And now with all of this, which together includes Drake trying to intimidate Kendrick with his litigation and then sees him responding to Kendrick's disses on Meet the Grams by saying everything he said is still kinda half true, all in all, while some people are gonna be impressed by this and claim that Drake is back because cadence-wise he is rapping coherently over a Conductor Williams beat, when you actually try to break down what he is saying and see the things he is trying to flip, all while once again trying to call Kendrick Lamar an underdog even after he has overtaken him in every single category possible. All this song really is the same story with a different presentation from Drake, and as he is still showing that he has learned no lessons from this beef whatsoever, and really that even despite losing, he is still using the same angles and losing strategy to try and make any sort of comeback, and even beyond all these things, making this song even more jarring, another question we have to ask ourselves entirely is why do all of this now? I mean, when you put everything into perspective.
Yeah, that's the thing. Drake, to me, he's always been passive aggressive. He's always been passive aggressive. And I think that's the reason why he's doing what he's doing. Because he has no reason to do it. But he just can't accept the loss. And it's making him look bad. Really making him look bad.
Drake is already lost, and the actual back and forth of this beef is over in terms of diss tracks being put out. So really from Drake releasing this song where he is just ranting about a reality that he could have tried to fix way before this but didn't, all in all, while this song may be a bright spot for him in what has been one of the worst career runs both on the mic and off of it that we have ever seen from a rapper, this song is still nothing special as he's not pushing the needle forward. And really for Kendrick, if the goal of this song was to create just enough attention to get back in the conversation with him without being directly engaged in a full-on back and forth, well, Drake still failed at that because really, what does Drake say here that makes Kendrick need to come back out and prove something to him once again? Because of course, Kendrick has already won the beef, he has the Super Bowl, he has an entire stadium tour planned, and he has the most successful rap album out right now. So really with Kendrick controlling everything right now, and Drake responding back to a few lines from a song that dropped over a half a year ago here, this is just another confusing move from Drake. But now what's really interesting is that as more rappers are coming back onto the scene and coming at Kendrick, And what's also interesting is that from Joey to Drake to even with J. Cole's 7-minute drill, they all dissed him over beats that were from none other than Conductor Williams. Well, maybe something is going on in 2025, and because of all the power Kendrick Lamar has, we are now going to see more MCs than ever, from Drake to everyone else, just try to pull out everything they can in their power to stop him from becoming the undisputed GOAT. And so now with all that said, let me know, what do you think about this new track from Drake, and what do you think this does to help his image right now?
Ain't nothing they can do to stop that boy. I'm gonna tell you right now. Nothing they could do. Ah, man. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? At this point, I really don't see anybody defeating Kendrick. I'm gonna actually do another episode about the Joey Badass thing because I want to talk about him, but I also want to talk about why I believe that he is the wrong choice to become the person who battling what's the name? Because I seen somebody do a video and they said, well, who is it that you can put up versus from New York? And they saying like Joey Badass is the guy. Like, man, it's I'm not even gonna get into it right now. I'm just gonna do a separate video on it. But thank y'all for joining the After Hours. You know what it is, man. Y'all have yourself a good night, man. I'll see y'all. Peace. Bye. What is that down there? What is that?